Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Mom on the Verge podcast, where I aim to help you improve your sense of joy, purpose, and meaning in this life. We will talk about a lot of different ways we can do this, but ultimately, we'll be working toward finding our way back home to ourselves and remembering that even in the most challenging times, peace is only a breath away. I am your host, Katie Farinas, a mom, nurse, and yogi on a mission to improve mental health and build community in our world. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. So I am going off schedule a little bit. I know I said for the summer I was going to do mini-sode and the long form content and alternate that. And so this week is technically a mini-sode week, but I just had to get this podcast out to you guys. It's also something I recently recorded, which is atypical. Typically, I record and then you guys don't hear the recording for months after I record because I record way in advance. But this was just such a great conversation and such a great topic that I had to get it out to you guys because I loved it so much. And we are talking all about imposter syndrome on this episode. And we're doing it with Caton-Brunnings, who was actually my very first guest almost a year ago. Her interview at that time was on limiting beliefs, and it is still the #1 downloaded episode that I have because she's amazing and the topics we cover are amazing. And this conversation was amazing. And Karen is also going to be at the summit that I am hosting. And we are about a week and a half out from the start of the summit. I am so excited. I have 11 amazing women who are coming to speak on so many amazing topics, including Karen, and her topic is called Better Broken. And it's all about how the things that we think make us broken in our lives actually make us the best versions of ourselves. We have Chris Greer coming to talk about what happens when meditation doesn't work. We have Chris Ashley coming to talk about forgiveness and the role of forgiveness in our lives. We have Laura McLeod coming home to talk about returning home to yourself in the second phase of life. So if you are in that second phase where maybe your kids are leaving the nest and you're wondering what this next phase of your life looks like, she's going to be talking about that. We have Stacey Uhrig on burnout. We have E. Diber, who I originally had on. Her episode was on human design, but she's coming back to talk about revealing your 4 pillars of authenticity. I, of course, will be talking about Dharma, my favorite topic. We have Christy Mandor, who is going to give us the 4 steps on creating a sustainable and science-backed self-compassion practice. We have Robin Jonas on 1% shifts to make a healthier life and a healthier you. And Linda Mueller on community, belonging versus fitting in. Those are 2 very separate things. And one more guest speaker who is yet to give me her topic, but she is amazing. I know you guys are going to love her. So that is the lineup, and it's going to be an amazing 3 days. And I would love to see you there live and in person because there's really nothing quite like the energy of, all being together, even if it is just over Zoom on a screen, but being able to ask questions, be interactive, see each other's faces. It's an amazing experience. So I would, of course, love to see you there live, but if you can't make it live, but these topics sound really interesting to you and you want to hear more about what these women have to say, then sign up anyway, because you will have access to all the recordings of all of their talks, as well as their special bonuses. So only the people who sign up have access to all the free offerings that they are going to give to the summit participants. So it's just a great opportunity to learn, to grow, to expand, to be in community and sisterhood, to have access to all this free stuff. So if there's, a particular topic that's really resonating with you, really hitting home, and you want to dive deeper, not only do you have the opportunity, if you show up live, to ask really compelling questions to the speaker, but you also have the opportunity to download whatever their free offering is that will allow you to take your understanding of that topic to the next level. So I really hope you can be there. It's August 6th, 7th, and 8th. Two of the days will be 12 to 4. One of the days will be 12 to 3. And like I said, you don't have to show up live. So if that's like seems overwhelming to you, that amount of time commitment, don't worry about it. You will have permanent access to all of these videos. So I would love to see your faces there in person. Because this is a celebration of my show, the 1-year anniversary of my show. That's why I'm doing this summit. And the absolute best part of this podcast journey has been the community that has formed around the podcast. So any opportunity I get to interact with that community is just amazing for me. And I'm so grateful for it. So I would love for you to be there. But most importantly, I want you to have the opportunity to learn and to grow and to become the best version of yourself. So sign up and get all the juicy deets. The other thing I will mention again is that on July the 30th, if you are local to me, I'm in New Jersey. So if you're in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware area, then I am hosting a workshop, 5 Paths to Discovering Your Dharma. And that is going to be at Studio 67 in Medford, New Jersey. You can just email me if you would like to come. Just send me an email at katie@momontheverge.org and say, I want to sign up for the workshop. And that'll be a really fun night too. It's from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we are going to go through those 5 steps together. There'll be some breath work in there, some meditation in there, lots of opportunities to converse, ask questions, laugh, talk, and meet new people. So I would love for you to attend that as well, and tell all your friends. And I'm going to put all of this stuff in the show notes. So you don't have to worry about remembering any of it. It will all be outlined for you in the show notes. And I just really hope you enjoy this conversation you're about to hear, because Karen and I actually met through this podcasting journey. So I met her for the first time when we did that original interview. But we have formed a beautiful friendship since then, which I think you'll be able to tell through listening to our conversation. And she is just a true light in this world. She is love walking around in a human body. And it's another reason why I wanted you to hear this, because this is what the summit is going to be like. When you listen to Karen and you listen to the conversation that we have, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be sisterhood. It's going to be friendship. It's going to be love. It's going to be laughter. It's going to be connection. It's going to be just this amazing energy that not only Karen, but all of these speakers bring to every interaction that they have, because it's their way of being. It's how they operate in the world. It's their mission to live in that vibration and to be the light and to try to, bring others up with them. And you just can't help but feel good. You just cannot help but feel good when you're around these people. So I love this conversation. I think imposter syndrome is something that we have all dealt with in some way or form in our lives, on all the time. It's not just something that happens once or twice. Like this is something we deal with on a regular basis, and something that's not talked about enough. And in fact, you'll hear in the interview, but the first time I ever heard the term imposter syndrome, I was probably in my very late 30s before I even heard that term. And when it was mentioned, I didn't know what it was. I had to go figure out what it was. So maybe you're listening to me and you're thinking, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is imposter syndrome? If you don't know what it is, you're going to find out what it is. And I guarantee you're going to see yourself in this conversation. So enjoy. I will, of course, give you a mindful moment note at the end. And I am going away for a girls' weekend with my best friend. So this newsletter will not come out till next week. But be on the lookout for the newsletter, because I will go into more detail and give you more exercises to try to play with. It's all about play, right? It's all about play and creativity and having fun with all these topics. So I don't want you to take them seriously. I don't want this to weigh you down. I want you to come to it with a playful attitude and take what serves you and leave what doesn't. All right. Have a wonderful listen, and I will talk to you at the end. All right, Karen, let's get to it. So, for my audience, Karen was my very first podcast I ever released, Unlimiting Beliefs, that is still the top played podcast out of all of my podcasts.
What? I didn't know this.
Yes, it is. And I was thinking about it the other day because I knew we had this conversation coming up, and I thought it's probably been almost exactly a year from that first. It's a little less than a year from the release, but it's probably been almost exactly a year from when we actually recorded the podcast. So I think that's very cool, the timing that we happen to be back here together having another amazing conversation. We've had amazing conversations in between that conversation and this one, but none of them have been recorded. So I am so excited to have another amazing conversation that is recorded and everyone gets to listen to.
I know it's really funny. Every time we talk, like you came on, you graciously said, yes, of course, I'll be on your upcoming podcast, Karen. So you graciously came on as a guest. And every time we ever talk, whether it's podcast or not, or just us having a conversation or coaching or whatever, we literally every time I say, why are we not just doing this recorded? Like, people need to hear, because this is the conversations that people want to have, just about life and about living and about humaning and about the complexities and the beauties and the intricacies of it. And man, it's so lovely to have people in your life that are willing to just go into those crazy spaces. So yay. And thanks for welcoming me back. And y'all, thank you for listening to Katie's podcast and mine. I cannot believe that mine
Yes,
was the
top number one played episode, and it remains at the top. It just keeps staying at the top as the numbers keep changing and more people are listening and downloading. It just keeps staying at the top, and I'm not surprised at all, because it was an amazing conversation, but also because you're just an amazing human, and I think that people can feel that energy coming through the conversation. And I, for one, am just forever grateful that we were able to connect through this medium, because otherwise, I always forget, you're in California or Colorado?
I'm in California.
California. Okay.
Actually, it's sort of a lie. I'm in Nevada now, but my head, because I live on the border of California and Nevada.
Okay.
I live in a little town outside of Reno called Verdi, but I'm a transplant from Tahoe, Truckee, which is in California. So in my head, I'm always a Californian. That's
Right.
really funny. Where are you from? I'm like, California. I live in Nevada. And I just said,
I'm just from California.
West Coast.
Right. You are West Coast. I am East Coast. We would never, our paths would never have crossed paths otherwise. In fact, the only way I even found you was through a friend of a friend who was like, you should interview this girl. I think she'd be great for your podcast. And I am just eternally grateful. And it is on my bucket list to meet you IRL. Like, we have to make it happen.
This is happening.
This is happening.
This is going to happen. And maybe we just invite like all the people that listen to your podcast, and we just do some big group fun thing, or a retreat, or some kind of
love that
awesomeness.
Yes.
Because I told Katie a long time ago. In fact, I think you even saw it on my board. I have this board behind me. And one day we were having a conversation on Zoom, and she looked at my board and goes, wait, what is that yoga teacher training? Because I had this on this chalkboard that I have behind me right now. You guys can't see it. I had this list of all of these desires that I have of my own, all of these things I want to create in my life that scare the shit out of me, but I want to reach into those spaces. And so here we are. She was like, oh, you want to do, as a yogi, you all know she's a yogi. She's like, you got to do it, Karen. Well, guys, right now, at this very moment, we just got on the call, and I was like, guess what, Katie? I am right now in a yoga teacher training. So maybe we can manifest this, like, in person, everybody momming on the verging, yogaing, and just
busting all their limiting beliefs.
Hell yeah, let's do this. Let's do this.
I know, we were on a call and we were talking about, I don't even remember, but it was an amazing conversation, because every time we would talk, it's an amazing conversation. But me being obsessed with yoga, how I say everything comes back to yoga, I was like, wait, I'm sorry, can we just pause? What is that behind you? I'm so excited.
It was like you looked into the window of my soul, and what I didn't realize is that my soul was being bared on my chalkboard behind me.
Yes. And I mean, you are everything that a yoga teacher should be. Like, just the love and compassion that pours out of you is everything that a yoga teacher should be. It is so much more than just saying, get into warrior one or warrior two or whatever the pose is. It is the energy and the space holding and the love that teacher brings to that class. And you are just so born for it. But during one of those conversations, you and I were like, we should do a podcast about this and we should do a podcast about that. And we came up with this one idea that I was like, yes, that's the one. Like, we should definitely do that. Both of us being, shall I say, the age we are, we probably forgot what it was. I was like, do you remember that call? And we said, that was a great idea. And you were like, yeah, what was it? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't remember. Hello, 52. It's fine. I know that eventually I'll walk into the room and remember what it is that I was going to get. Just like you were driving home from work and you were like, I know what it is. Cause I was like, I'm so excited for coffee talk with you, Katie. I have no idea what we're talking about. And you're like, I don't remember either. And it came and you were like, it's this very important thing. Go ahead.
So, I mean, I was like, what was that? Because it was so good. It was, oh my gosh. I know it's a total blank as to what it was. I just remember it being so good. And I was driving home last night and I made the intentional decision to drive home in silence just to create a little space in my brain, not related to you and I having this conversation at all. And then boom, like a download, it dropped in and I was like, imposter syndrome. That is what we said we were going to talk about. And it is so perfect for both of us in our lives in this moment.
Okay, so I mean, on the heels of what I just told everybody is that I'm in deep right now in yoga teacher training. And man, and there's a lot of places in my life right now where I am reaching into spaces that are really uncomfortable, both personally, professionally, as a mother. And that feeling of imposter syndrome keeps coming up.
Yes.
And in this yoga teacher training, boy, oh boy. I mean, I've been in the fitness industry for years. When I walked into the first day of this training, there's, 5 or 6 of us. It's a very small group, which is so nice because the woman who's teaching us is amazing and it's great. I am not kidding. I've been teaching fitness and group fitness and speaking and doing shit for a long time. I was terrified and I could feel the energy in the room, the imposter syndrome that all of the other people were feeling, and that no one wanted to say anything. And so I go in being myself, I don't like pretending that I'm something that I'm not. I don't like it. That's a place, a belief that I've had that I can't show who I really am that's something I'm constantly trying to just know that's not it. So I walk into the room and I look around and everybody's got that like scared to death because we had to teach a segment of this particular flow the first damn day. And mind you, I was just getting over COVID. I had COVID last week. Anyway, so no energy. Oh my gosh. And I'm like shaking and I sit down and I look around. It's like completely silent. And I was like, hi, everybody. We all know each other because we practice together, whatever. Yeah. I was like, I need to just say something out loud right now. I am so freaking nervous. And what happened in that moment of honoring that place, that imposter syndrome where I was like, I don't even know if I belong here, is that down the line of the people who are in my class, the one girl goes like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. Oh my goodness, me too. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. I'm physically shaking. and honoring the fact that all of us were having that feeling like, can we do this? Do I belong here? Which is what brings up that feeling of imposter syndrome. What's going on for you right now, Katie, that you have that whispering in your mind? Or how does it even show up for you?
So ironically, the first time I even became aware of that term, literally don't recall ever hearing that term before in my life until I was in yoga teacher training. And I know, right? You can all see Karen's face right now.
Oh my God.
I was in yoga teacher training and I too have been practicing at that studio for many years. The owners were running the training. I've known them for many years. We've become friends, like more than friends. So I was saying, like, I feel such reverence for this practice, right? This practice has given me so many gifts in my life and continues on to give me so many gifts. And I mean, I would say that yoga literally saved my life. And so I have such deep respect for this tradition, and I don't want to, excuse me, but fuck it up. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have the enough wisdom. I don't have enough learning. I don't have enough practice. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. Just kept coming up that I am not like ready for this, because it was towards the end. It was towards the end. We had spent almost 200 hours together, because it was a 200-hour training, learning the philosophy, learning how to teach, learning how to, hold space, learning all these things. And it was getting towards the end. And I'm thinking, holy crap, I'm not ready. Like, I don't know enough. You can't send me out into the world alone. Like, I can't be responsible for somebody else taking my class. Like, I just feel like I don't know enough. And my teacher, one of my teachers, because it was co-led by two of them, turned to me and said, "Oh, that's imposter syndrome." And I was like, "What? Well, I don't even know what this word, I don't know what you're talking about, right?" And it took me a while to really fully understand what that means, which is basically what I'm saying. It's like, I want to do this thing. I have this internal yearning and desire and calling to do this thing, but I feel like I'm pretending to know more than I know. I'm pretending to be able to do this thing that I can't actually do. And guess what? Maybe one day you're going to find out that I can't do it, and then my cover's going to be blown, right? Like, all of these fears that were coming up in me,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure I had experienced prior in my life, but never like I had experienced them in that moment.
It's funny, like when you think about imposter syndrome, a lot of people will think it's confidence, right? Like, well, I might be lacking confidence, or I think other, like you even said it, I think other people are going to find out that I suck.
Right. Yes.
But I have a different frame on this. And this has kind of been developing inside of me as I've been experiencing more of that feeling. And in my own coaching, I do a lot of work with people around the beliefs that they have about who they are and the
Mhm.
limiting beliefs. I don't think imposter syndrome has anything to do with other people finding out how much you're going to suck. I think it has everything to do with you finding out exactly your own greatness. You are on the precipice. When imposter syndrome comes in, you are on the precipice of telling a new story, the real story of who you are on the inside. You know that you're worthy of the practice, but the society that we live in, our origin stories, like all of this noise on the outside that dumbs us down from the knowing of who we are, tells us everybody's going to find out that you actually really suck, but you know that you don't. And so, like, we put on all these masks in our life, right? We put on all these different masks. And when you lean into something that is so true to you, so real for you, something like you knew, like yoga saved my life. I have to do this. I'm called to do this. You're being called away from your limiting beliefs and
Mhm.
closer to yourself. It's finding out your own greatness. That's so scary. It's not other people finding out that you suck.
I
That is imposter syndrome. It's you on the precipice of your own goodness, your own truth, your own power, your own whatever. And your ego is in the background going, no, wait, I've spent 50 years thinking I don't deserve shit. Hold on. No, wait, if you tell the story and lean into what is true, I die. My ego dies. And that is that feeling of like, are they going to find out? We use other people, but really, am I going to find out how capable and how worthy I am? I'm going to cry
I
because
know.
I felt unworthy. I've allowed myself to feel unworthy. And when you lean into something that scares you, like yoga or opening yourself up to a relationship or being in alignment with your parenting or whatever it is, or saying no or setting boundaries, you are telling a different story. And that kicks up that I'm an imposter. I've been wearing a mask. I haven't been telling the truth of who I am.
Yeah.
And that for me is the mind-blowing like frame up of imposter syndrome, because we think we need to push that shit away, right? No, I don't want to feel that way. Oh,
Yes. It's
oh
so
my God.
uncomfortable.
They're going to find out. They're going to find out. That's the frame. Oh my God. What if they find out? What if I'm so bad? But what if the story inside imposter syndrome is inviting it in, wanting it to be there, knowing that on the other side of it is the truth of you, not the fucking shame or the
Yeah.
other shit or the other stuff or the story of how much you suck. It's not that. Invite that feeling, let it be with you, and know that you're on the precipice of telling your limiting beliefs they got to walk out the door.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's like mind blowing. And your whole body, or at least for me, my whole body reacts. It's like my nervous system is at a set point, and when I start believing something different than what I have always believed, my nervous system is like, it's like touching a hot stove. It like pulls back, like, nope, I can't do it. That is painful. That's uncomfortable. That's not good. I actually get the like, it's not a good idea. It's a bad idea to do this. Like my brain starts telling me so many untruths to try to, air quote, protect me. That's my ego, right? Trying to protect me, when really it's just I haven't calibrated my nervous system to this new level of expansion.
Yeah. And that's the lack of safety we feel inside of exposing ourselves, right? We're hardwired for safety.
We are. Yes.
Hardwired. Stay alive.
Yes.
Stay alive. Stay small, stay quiet, stay safe. Don't do things that are risky,
Yeah.
you know? Be all the things, wear the masks, do the things. Man, when you expose yourself,
Yeah. And
when
staying
you
alive.
expose,
No, go
expose
ahead.
your when you expose your greatness, right? When you say, I am worthy of something and you start to do it, you're exposing your greatness. And that is just absolutely terrifying.
It is. We grew up, right? Or not we grew up, we evolved from like hunter-gatherer societies. Like our survival literally depended on being in community. We could not survive on our own. And when we start to do things like this, it our like reptilian brain, that fight or flight response goes off because it says, A, maybe somebody's going to find out and they're going to kick me out of the tribe, right? They're going to find out I'm an imposter and they're going to kick me out of the tribe and I'm going to die. Or maybe I'm going to step into my greatness and they're going to find that out and they're not going to like it and they're going to kick me out of the tribe. Either way, I could get kicked out of the tribe. And ancestrally, getting kicked out of the tribe meant death. So this is like real. Like your brain is really on fire, telling you things that are not true in the effort to keep you safe, it thinks. So we then we have to combat, we have to fight against all of this that's going on. And that's not easy.
Well, it's exposure therapy in my mind, right? We need exposure therapy because we're like, oh, not going to do that. Just going to stay safe.
Yeah.
Not going to do that. Just going to stay safe. And we lose the opportunity to learn resilience, that actually death isn't coming. We're going to do that thing. And actually, I'm good and we're good.
Yeah.
Like it's exposure therapy. And I think that in my life right now, that's sort of what's happening to me on like, I feel like the gas pedal of like opportunities to confront or be with, not even confront, because I don't think it's a fight with imposter syndrome. It's not really that. But there's all of these places that I'm being called to have exposure therapy, to calling bullshit on the fact that being authentic is unsafe.
Yeah.
And like I'm in this yoga training. Last night, my daughter is a wrangler and she teaches Western lessons and she just does cool shit. So
Yeah.
I'm like, and
So
I've been riding horses for a while, but I don't know the language of riding very well. So I called her up because I'm like seeking moments to be like, and I'm an imposter. Maybe I'm not actually, maybe I'm just leaning into the edges of myself. So I called her up and I'm like, hey, can I come to the ranch? Because she's living on property right now and running this ranch. I'm like, can I come and get a lesson? This shit scares me. It's a 1,500-pound animal. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've never cantered on a horse. I usually just walk or trot and it's so fun, whatever. And it's on push button horses. You don't have to do anything. But I was like, I want to come and learn. And same thing happened. I walk into that ranch and my wrangling, amazing girl who teaches people to do this all day. I'm like, and I'm a hack. I'm going to find out I actually can't do this. That's the language that's going on. What are you doing? This is a 1,500-pound animal. You've had neck surgery. What if you get hurt? Is
Right.
all happening right in my
Yeah.
mind. And I just had to have that moment where I said, what if this is the most amazing thing? What if this is exactly what my soul needs? What if on the outside, on the other side of this belief that I don't deserve to spend the money on this or spend the time doing this or any of that is all a bunch of shit. And I actually need this in my life. And as soon as I flipped that switch from like, I'm going to be found out in that I'm an imposter, I gave myself permission to be a learner, right?
Right.
I'm a learner.
Yes.
I'm a
Yes.
learner. And my soul needs this. I'm doing it. And I am not kidding you. I was again shaking hands and I looked at my daughter and I was like, I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death. I'm not going to get this right. Or I'm going to like make the
Right.
horse's name is Dan. I'm going to make Dan mad. And he's going to be like, what are you doing on top of me? And the lesson went incredible. And she looked at me and said, Mom, would you like to canter? And for those of us not in the horsey world, that is going fast, like running, not galloping, but running on a horse. Never done it before. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I cued the horse and everything happened and he starts running. And the feeling inside of my body of the
Mm.
rightness of understanding that I'm not an imposter. I deserve this. I'm here in this life, fighting all the stories of this is unsafe and all of those things. And he stopped because you have to kind of put your legs on a horse to get him to go. I just like was so overwhelmed with emotion that I just sort of like collapsed my legs and he stopped running. And I just began to weep. I just started crying because I had been so afraid to do it.
Yeah.
And then I leaned through the imposter syndrome and the undeserving and I'm not worthy and all that stuff you were talking about when you went to yoga
Yeah.
training too. And on the other side of that was the truth, which is I deserved it and I can do it and I'm capable. It is exposure therapy, people. It is exposure therapy again and then again and then again.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like even I'm doing your Mom on the Verge summit, right?
Yes.
I don't care how many times I speak. I get that. I have that moment. I don't deserve this. I'm not as good as a coach as other people. And what if I fuck it up? What if I'm stupid? Like all of that stuff. Stay safe, Karen. Stay safe, stay small, stay quiet. No, no, no. It's not for you, not you. And then realizing, no, what if it is me?
It,
What if,
I
what
love
if it
that.
is me? What if that's just a limiting belief?
Right.
And what
And
if on
like,
the other side of that syndrome is the truth?
and our minds, like when you say that, me knowing you, seeing, from the outside, I'm like, how could she be saying that? How could she be thinking that? Right? Because we don't see ourselves often as we are, right? We see ourselves through a different lens than other people view us. And so when you say things like that, I'm like, that is crazy. Like she's amazing. Like how could she think that? And it's trying to see ourselves the way people who love us see us, right? Trying to see ourselves in the same light because that is who we are, right? When people see us through love, that is who we are. And it's so much of what you said. I mean, the learning piece is huge. And for me personally, it's a big one. When I want to lean into something that I really feel in my soul is meant for me, but yet is really pushing me to my edges and making me feel like I want to vomit, but in a good way. I always come to, I don't know enough. I need to learn more. And like this, Karen has been a huge advocate for me on this new coaching journey. She has helped me so much. And we've had so many conversations about it. And that's a huge imposter syndrome trigger for me. And the first time I did it, I remember getting off the call and being like, literally, it was like in a movie when everything stops, like the whole world stops, and it's almost like it's almost undescribable, the sensation of just pure bliss. That's how I would describe it, was bliss, because it was a moment of knowing that I had leaned in to my authentic self, that
Because
I
we have a,
had
go ahead.
stopped listening to that voice in my head, that I had taken the chance to expand, and that I had been in my body, in my soul, doing what I was meant to do, what I was put here to do. And there's an incredible feeling that comes with that when you are doing what you were designed to do, whether it be coaching or riding a horse or parenting in the way that feels authentic to you, whatever it is. There are so many ways we can lean into our authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
You feel it in your body, and it's an amazing feeling.
And what's crazy is that we all have a choice. Like that choice comes up to us all the time. Do the thing, try coaching, do your first coaching session, and everything in you is like, this is dangerous. You will have to let go of the story that you don't know enough
Yes.
when you do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. That's right there at the edge. And it keeps pulling you back from the truth, which is you don't have to have a bunch of freaking letters behind your name. You don't have to have all of the information and know exactly what to do. You can be in the process and step through it. And there's a choice in that moment to go with, well, maybe I don't deserve it, or maybe I don't know, or maybe I do need more learning and letters and whatever. And when you step through that threshold, regardless of that voice, that is the feeling on the other side of relief, of there is your authentic self. There you are. And we hold ourselves back from our authenticity so much. We're so afraid. But what is interesting, just like when I stepped into the yoga classroom and said, I'm scared, I'm saying it out loud. Holy shit. I'm really scared. My hands are actually shaking, and that's for reals.
Yeah.
What I find and what we need to remember is that that is true for 99% of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If not more. I mean,
Right.
I would venture to say almost 100, if not 100% of people.
I mean, same. Yeah. Like the truth is we think we need to hide the fact that we're scared, that we have imposter syndrome, that we don't know. And really what's amazing, it is the very thing that connects us.
Yes.
It isn't the separator. We're like, oh, I'm going to get kicked out of the pack. Oh, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Well, we should all be kicked out of the pack because we lie.
Right.
We're lying. We're walking around this life and we're like, scared. Meanwhile, we literally are pooping our pants, and our armpits are like these big pit sweat, in your armpits. And no, I'm good. No, it's
fine. I've got this. Yeah.
But the great connector is the truth. And that truth is our authenticity, and it isn't a separator. And that's the thing that needs to be demystified, right? Like it being afraid or having imposter syndrome or feeling unworthy in a moment isn't a separator. It's the great connector. And the more of us that become brave and speak that truth and show that it is the connector, it is the glue that binds us, and then showing everybody that you can step through that fear as a learner, as a person who's curious about what their limiting beliefs have been, and what the real truth is. Oh crap, then we're way more dangerous if that's
we really are. That's the truth. I mean, there is a quote out there, and I'm terrible at remembering quotes exactly as they they are said, but basically it said we are not afraid of our weaknesses. We're actually afraid of how powerful we are or how powerful we can be. We're afraid of our own power because what does that mean? What does that mean when you become so powerful to your relationships that are in your life, to just really how your life is set up, right? Because if we've set up our lives not as our authentic selves, when we start stepping into that, there are ripple effects to that. And then we're scared of those ripple effects, right? Because again, we like safety. We like safety. Like, I know what to expect, and I know what to expect, who it's from and how it's going to be. And like, I know all the things, and that makes me feel safe. But safety is the antithesis of growth and expansion and really being able to step into yourself. If all you do your whole life is try to be safe, you will never grow and expand in the ways that you were meant to.
Well, we're deluding ourselves into believing that staying safe is safe.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens when we aren't authentic, when we aren't stepping into the fullest expression of who we are? Oh, we all know it. Anxiety, depression, mental issues, physical manifestations of that holding ourselves back and not leaning into the edges. I mean, it's the least safe thing we can do is not create moments where imposter syndrome happens and we're trying to reach into our authentic selves. That's the most dangerous thing. But we all go, oh no, stay safe. Don't let anybody not like you.
Right.
Don't not be perfect. That's so unsafe. Like, what the hell? Like, when you really look at it and you really think about it, that's the biggest sham and the biggest lie, yet we believe it.
We do. We believe it. I mean, people will hold on to things years of their lives, years and years, sometimes their whole lives, because of this belief that it is safer. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't, right? That's an old time expression. That to hold on to being a certain way is protecting ourselves, when really we're just dying inside. We might still be alive, but our souls are dying.
If we're so comfortable being uncomfortable, we think that that's sort of it. We're like, well, I mean, how many times have you guys? I've said this so many times in my life, guys. Well, is this it?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Is this it in marriage?
Yeah.
Is this it for me? Like,
is this in life?
Is there more? And the thing is the fact that even that, if any of you out there have that little whisper of like, I think there's more, then there's more, my friends. But you got to get to the moments and create the opportunities for that feeling of imposter syndrome to get to the other side of it. You have to tell the other story. You have to be willing to say, this story of my unworthiness, my not deserving, my not being good enough, I need to make everyone happy, whatever the story is, you have to be willing to go to the edge of it. And in that moment of choice, instead of turning back to it and going, it's probably right, going, what if it's freaking wrong? And what if I am so worthy and that's going to be the next best thing? Like, I got to do it. And it's messy. That the path is messy. When I did the first segment of that class, I was far from perfect. Oh my gosh. My hands literally, I'm out in Wild Thing and my literal left hand is like waving in the wind because I was shaking so bad. So bad. And I let myself have that moment of like, no, it doesn't need to be perfect. I just need to keep telling the story that this is possible for me. And then again, and then again, and then some more, and then more practice, and then more believing, and then more deciding that I am worthy of this practice. Because I said the same thing we had to do an intake, and They're like, why do you want to teach yoga? Yoga changed my life too. It saved my life. I was very, very ill, very, very sick.
Mm.
Um, had a lot of physical issues, and my normal ways of moving weren't working for me. And I was going to have spinal reconstruction, and I was terrified. And first time I ever went to a yoga class, like I literally could barely put my hands on my shins or knees. I was like, yeah, I don't think this is ever going to happen. And one moment at a time, I started to feel strong in the body that I was living in,
Mm.
that was hurting and broken and needed surgery and was calling for something different. And so on my intake form, they're like, why do you want to teach yoga? I'm like, it saved my life. Um, and I'm, to be perfectly honest, worried that I may not be worthy of the practice. Like, it saved my life. I don't
Yeah.
know that I could lead people
Yes. Yes.
into
Exact feeling. Yes, that I had.
into having that moment, but I'm
Mm.
willing
Mm.
to try because I believe in myself, and I believe in my body, and I believe in this practice. And even writing that down, I was, up against imposter syndrome, just batting on the door going, well, guess I'm
Yeah.
walking through this, and I'm guess I'm going to tell the story that I am worthy, and I'm going to prove it.
Yeah.
And man, it's so good.
So good. I remember when you had me on your podcast, you sent me a little intake thing. It was like a little, form to fill out and it had all these
Yep.
questions. And by the end, I was like, whew, that was cathartic. Like, I didn't know all that was in there. And you were asking a lot of these questions about limiting beliefs and like what I don't feel worthy of, and and why. And it's amazing the stuff that's under there that we don't even know it's there in our everyday lives. A lot of times, I think for me, and I think this is pretty common, that people have like these whispers. They have these little thoughts and whispers like, is this all there is to a marriage? Or is this all there is to life? Or is this all there is to my job? Or whatever. You might have those kind of fleeting thoughts. But then we just kind of cover that over with the busyness of life, right? We're running our kids and we're doing our jobs and we're running a house and we're all the things. And then it could stop there, right? If we didn't take some time, it could just keep going in that way where we have a little whisper, we ignore it. We have a whisper, we ignore it. But when we take the time to actually stop and investigate the whisper, there is so much beneath that. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? The whisper you can ignore for I ignored the whisper for probably 20 years. I mean, I ignored the whisper a really long time. But once you see it, you just can't unsee it. And it is the like shot in the butt that you need to propel forward, right? Like it's like this, whoo, oh, okay, that's all there. And now I actually really have to do something about it. But then of course all the fear ramps up. And that can sometimes, I think, bring us back, right? Bring us back to covering up. But it's like I said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So even if it takes time to get there, I think that we would all get there if we just took a moment to really uncover what's underneath those whispers.
And it's understanding that when you get to that moment where the fear ramps up, that fear is information. And the information is your soul knows that the belief that you have about what is possible for you, that you've been holding on to, I can't, I shouldn't, there isn't more, I've got to stay here, I need to take care of them. That fear is just trying to tell you it's not true. It's just not true. It's like your body's just trying to tell you. It's not even, it's fear, but there's excitement underneath it too.
Yes, yes, yes. Like I
Right.
said,
And
when I
we
wanted to
like to,
vomit, but in a good way.
yeah,
Like,
we want to label it as like, oh, fear. It's an indicator that something's bad. But if we start to think about imposter syndrome as information that you're, and the fear as information that you're just about to let go of a belief that is not true. It is a limiting belief that has been holding you back. And then just continue through that fear. You get to the moment where you're crying on a horse because you cantered.
hmm, it's amazing.
Right? Like that's real. That is so, so real. And mind you, do I think that's easy? No, I totally wanted to throw up when I was on the horse. No, I was totally freaking out when I'm teaching, when I'm teaching her right now. Definitely. I mean, I'm talking about it now. I've got a little bit of heartburn because of it. But the fact is we can handle what's on the other side.
That's what I've found. Yeah. Is that because I've now done it some, I recognize and I can kind of talk to myself and be like, okay, you can do this and you will be okay. No matter what happens. If I fall flat on my face, if I stumble my words in yoga class, if I don't read that client right and say the right thing or ask the right question, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. And I'm on the continuous journey until I take my very last breath of learning and growth. But what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is I mess up, again, air quotes, and then I learn from that, right? And I show myself grace and I give the opportunity to other people to exercise grace in their life. And have you ever gone to anything where someone had a pure heart and pure intentions and they made an error in some way that you judged them? Of course not. Because people don't care about what you say and what you do. They care about how you make them feel and your intention behind what you're saying and what you're doing. And that's what I have to constantly remind myself of over and over and over again when that fear wants to just rise up in my chest and make me want to not walk through that next door, not take that next step is, what is my intention? Is it pure? And what's the worst thing that can happen? Is anyone going to die here? No.
The very worst thing that can happen to any of us is leaving our authentic self behind.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing. And until we start integrating that into our knowing and into our bodies, that the illnesses that we have and the depression and anxiety that comes along with leaving our authentic selves behind and not being in moments of authenticity as much as we should, and not experiencing it and exploring imposter syndrome. That is the worst thing. That's the result of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the result. And that ends leads us to so much suffering and so much pain, and living lives that feel less like that feeling where the whisper becomes the loud roar and you've got to do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the worst possible thing in anything, is leaving the truth of you behind. And that includes the cracks and bumps and opportunities for resilience building. Like you have to screw up.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's
Being
part of the
perfect
process.
being perfect is such a sham. It's such a lie. That's why when we look on like Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and we're looking at these people with these seemingly perfect lives, every single person's like, yeah, somewhere in us, some of us go, oh God, I wish my life was like that. And then there's those of us that are like, I know there's a whole other side to that coin. They're supposed to be. Our lives are not, we are not supposed to be perfect. We're not supposed to be perfect at yoga when we don't know what we're doing. We are not supposed to be good horseback riders when we've never done it before. We're not supposed to be perfect parents. This is our first time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
We're
so
not
true.
supposed to, and letting ourselves see that in each other.
Yes. Yes.
See that in each other. That is my work.
Yeah.
That is where we build resilience. You're not going to die if anyone sees your cracks. You're not going to die if you are not perfect. And if you go through imposter syndrome and you're a little bit messy and you survive it, that's the feeling. You had that first call with that lady, that coaching call, the afterwards, it's that feeling of like, it just went exactly how it was supposed to go. And there was missteps and things, I'm sure, like whatever, or something was glitchy or whatever. But it was exactly what needed to happen because you were real and you were in it and you were authentic, cracks and all.
Cracks and all. Yeah, it's so true. And this piece about like, we look on social media and we see these perfect lives. It's ironic actually, because I haven't even released it. I recorded it today, but it'll be released tomorrow. A podcast episode on Astia, which is like one of the yamas, and it's non-stealing. And I go through the whole thing. You can listen to the episode. I'll let you know when I record the end of this episode when it's going to be and what it is. But it's basically non-stealing, not meaning to steal material items like go into a store and put something in your pocket and walk away, but to not steal from ourselves and others in much deeper ways. And one of those ways is by not recognizing our own skills, talents, gifts, desires, abilities to give back to the world because we are so focused on what others have and looking at what they have and thinking, I am not worthy. I am not good enough. I wish I had their gift, their talent, their partner, their body, their job, their whatever. When we spend all this time looking outward and wishing we had what other people have, we're actually stealing from ourselves the ability to be the most expanded, beautiful, impactful versions of ourselves. And we do this all the time. And I think in a culture that is a little celebrity obsessed, this is something that's easy to do, right? Because we look at someone, let's say, who we really love, a singer we really love, or an actor we really love, or even a spiritual teacher, right? If even for me, I have spiritual teachers that I have so much respect for. All we see is the end product of where they are now. We
Mhm.
don't see all the grit, all the work, all the missteps, all the fear, all the overcoming of the fear, all the times when they felt like they weren't good enough that actually led them to be in this place. And guess what? They still don't feel like they're perfect. They still feel like they're on the path and that they're growing and they're learning, even though we're looking at them like, wow, that's amazing that they can do that. Right. But it took so much for them to get there, including overcoming their own imposter syndrome. So this is the journey. This is what it is. And if once we recognize that we're all on the same journey, we're all on the same path, we all have the same thoughts and feelings and fears and all of that, it's easier to let it go and just say, okay, I'm gonna do my journey and I'm not gonna worry about anybody else. I'm just gonna be on my own path.
Because that's exactly like for anyone, the celebrities that we look at, whatever, they had that moment of choice too,
Mhm.
where they were going to be, well, I can not go to that, casting call, whatever, or I can go and tell a different story of myself. The
Yeah.
moments that we say that thing feels scary, I might be found out, and we say, I'm just going to let it go is exactly the moment that keeps us from, like you just said, doing exactly what we were supposed to do in the world, sharing
Yeah.
what we were supposed to do. And celebrities, everybody around us is making that choice every single day
Yeah.
to either lean in to who we actually authentically are or stay with the masks, stay with the limiting
Mhm.
beliefs,
Mhm.
to stay, quote unquote, air quotes, if you will, safe, meaning depressed, lonely, sad, scared, blah, 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 all the other
Yes.
things,
Yeah.
and ill,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
This
Wow.
showed up for me in motherhood as well. I don't know about you, but I remember having this, I was very naive, this idea of what what motherhood was going to be, right? And I mean, let's be honest, you can't really understand what it is until you're in it, but I do think I was maybe particularly naive and having, so many challenges and then being really open and honest about those challenges. I was really could not, I like physically could not be like, oh my God, I love every moment. Every moment is amazing. And it's so blissful every second of the day. Like, no, I'm not playing that game. Right. And so I had really bad postpartum depression after my first child. I didn't have it after my second because I think I went on medication to prevent it. Because I anticipated it would happen again. There were lots of challenges along the way. And I was very, very honest about them. And I can't tell you how many other moms came to me and said, thank you so much.
Mm.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable enough to share how you felt and what you thought, because now I don't feel like a horrible mom. I don't feel like there's something wrong with me for having these thoughts and having these feelings that, again, nobody talks about. We
Mhm.
just talk about this beautiful baby, and isn't it wonderful? Uh, excuse me. Ah,
I was when I had my first baby, I was much less. I was the masks I wore, the beliefs that I lived from were pretty it was like a complete cloak over me, right? I was like, I can't tell anybody that this sucks, right? This sucks. It's, I mean, it's one, it's wonderful, but it
Mhm.
also sucks, right? I
Yes,
didn't
yes,
have,
and
I didn't have I didn't have the courage at the time. I was confused on the inside, watching my friends come over, delivering me food and saying, "Aren't you so happy?" Meanwhile,
Mhm.
I have stitches from my hoo-ha to my butthole, and my boobs are bleeding, and I haven't eaten a hot meal in 10 days. I haven't sat down,
Yes.
and I'm
Or
not
slept.
sleeping.
Yeah.
And no one's going, "Isn't that part hard?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what support can I give you?" And I remember thinking, God, I must be terrible, right? And then you start layering on the shame and guilt for like, I should be so happy.
Yeah. Yes.
And really, um, it takes a lot of courage to tell the truth of ourselves and to be, I mean, I felt like an imposter as a mother, right?
Yes,
Like I was like,
yes. I felt like an imposter as a
I
mother.
literally
Yes.
was like, so we're all supposed to be happy?
Right. And
Like, what
everyone's
the
gonna
hell?
find out I'm not. And then holy crap.
Right. And then after my second baby, as I was, yeah, no, I think I might have done the same thing with her. But I think as I got older and my kids were older and I started realizing that I was an imposter. I was like properly putting on masks and being like, this is so great. And there were so many complexities. And when I got divorced and I had my own sort of implosion of myself and sort of, became the phoenix rising from the ashes, I was like, no more.
Yeah.
I'm going to start telling the truth. I'm going to start telling the truth when I'm scared, to my children, to my friends, or sad, and all of the things. I'm going to start
Yeah.
telling the truth. That included telling the truth of when I was joyful,
Right.
like really joyful.
Mhm.
And so people could actually believe what the hell I was saying because I wasn't lying about who I was and my human experience. The same thing started to happen to me too, where people would be like, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. But what's interesting even now, when you do that, sometimes in friend groups or work or whatever, people will come to you and they'll whisper, I'm so glad you said that.
They're still afraid to say it out loud. Yeah.
So glad, so glad you said that. It's like we talk about it at book club, like behind the book with a glass of wine, like,
Yeah.
don't tell anybody. I'm so glad you're talking about your divorce, but I can't tell anybody. So it takes the continual
Yes.
podcasts like this and the people who are willing to talk about imposter syndrome and authenticity and resilience and fear and sadness and joy openly and honestly, and showing that those are connective fibers. The truth of us are the connective fibers. We
Mhm.
are not getting kicked out of the tribe. We
Yeah.
need these moments. We
Yeah.
need the moments of authenticity, of not getting it right, of stepping through those
Yeah.
moments of imposter syndrome to
Yeah.
connect each other.
We do.
That's why we feel weird. That's why we all feel so weird,
Mhm.
because we want
And
more truth.
disconnected. I mean,
Yeah,
when we're not really being authentic and true, then we have this surface level, very unsatisfying
that's right.
relationship with the people in our lives. And our soul craves true connection and closeness. Our soul craves to be able to bare our souls and to be so vulnerable and still feel that we are loved and accepted. We're
That's
loved and
right.
accepted. Yeah.
That's right.
And but if we don't create that opportunity, then it can never happen, right? If we're not brave enough to be brave and put ourselves out there, then we're not giving that opportunity to the people in our lives to allow them to show us that they will still love and accept us exactly as we are, cracks and all.
And here's and this is the truth. I don't want to be all kumbaya, right? And say like everybody's gonna love it.
No, everybody's not going to
Hey,
love it.
not everyone's going to love you leaning into yourself.
Mhm.
Not everyone, you're going to shake the apple cart. You're going to show people that they have to, they have opportunities to lean into their authenticity more, to have those moments of imposter syndrome, to leave behind the stories, to wake up and lift their heads up. People are going to fight back because the ego, man, it hangs on tight to us
It does.
and it wants to. And for the people who are in different places of the sort of like healing journey or the self-actualization journey, right? They may say, hand go, screw yourself, Karen, I can't take it. And it's okay, man. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay that we're not for everyone. I'm
Yeah.
not for everyone as a coach. I'm certainly, not for everyone in my parenting style. I'm not for everyone as a friend.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be for everyone as a yoga instructor either, or an
Yes.
equestrian, because I'm a little bit of a hack, because I'm a learner. It's fine. But that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you said that. I love that point because that is so, so true.
Yeah.
Sometimes you leaning into your authenticity is going to actually really trigger somebody because they're going to recognize in themselves that they're not doing it. And they're going to want, because they feel unsafe to do it, they're going to fight back at you as if you are doing something wrong. But that's okay. Like you said, they're on their journey, and their journey is not a reflection of who you are or your worth or your ability to do the thing that you're stepping into that you're afraid to do. Like, it is not a reflection of anything except for their own personal journey. And keeping that in mind has been also very helpful for me when I am trying to lean in to these things that I really want in my life, but feel really scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Other people not liking it usually is a sign that there's something inside of them
Yeah.
that's calling them. Their whisper starts to get louder when they see you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's terrifying because we all know how scary that is, right?
Yeah.
When the call is like, go be a yoga instructor. And I'm like,
Yes.
do I really want to do this? Am I really doing this? I'm doing this. Oh my God, I'm doing this. And it might trigger someone else being like, how I wish I could do that. When I got divorced, that happened, right? People would come up to me and be like, how'd you do it?
Yeah.
How are you doing this? How are you saying yes to yourself? How are you leaving something behind that uh, you know, isn't good for you? I mean, how are you leaving that behind? Like your kids, what do you do? Like, I'm telling you, it triggers people in different ways, but it shouldn't stop you.
It shouldn't. And there's the flip side of that. If you see someone leaning into something and it really triggers something inside of you, that's the moment to be like, hmm. That's the moment of self-reflection where once you come down off of your energy of being triggered, you can take a breath, take a beat, and be like, why did that get me so much? Why did I react like that? Like, what's inside of me that person doing that thing created that reaction inside of me? Beautiful, beautiful space for exploration and growth right there.
And when you think about the people in your life that you are really connected to, right? If you close your eyes and you think about them, I guarantee you it isn't the people that have it all perfect. It isn't the people who it looks great and simple and uncomplicated. It's the people who are putting themselves in those moments of imposter syndrome or changing and challenging and reframing those beliefs that they have about themselves. And they're showing up and they're showing you that path in a way that's both scary and glorious at the same time. Those are the people that you want to pick up the phone and call and go for a walk and have a talk or learn from or be around. It isn't the people who are, staying safely in their little corner of the world and
looking
trying
perfect.
to show you that nothing's going on, nothing to see. Nothing to see. I mean, this is going to be my whole talk and topic on the Mom on the Verge Summit is
which I'm so excited for.
Better broken and finding resilience through authenticity. So come and listen because that's real, man. That's real. But the people that you're drawn to, it's those people. It's those people that are showing you the way. It might trigger you in the first moment because you're like, look at her being all authentic. How come she can do that? Oh, newsflash. You can too.
Yes. The
You
second,
might, and you might throw up a little first. It's fine.
it's fine. It's fine. Bring some mouthwash. It'll be okay. The people this is what I feel like I hear people saying when they're really triggered by somebody who's being really authentic is, and particularly a woman. I don't know what this is, but it seems to be more prevalent for females. I don't know what that is. If that's a cultural thing, I don't know. But she's too fill in the blank. She's
too much, too loud, too soft, too this, too feely, too yeah.
Yes.
She's too whatever. That equals I'm so whatever. I have so many feelings. I and it's the call of wishing that part of that person could be expressed.
Yes.
Right? She's so confident. She's so, how come she can just do everything and it doesn't matter? That is your own language to yourself.
Yes.
You saying, I want you to be more confident. You're more confident. Show yourself. You have all these feelings. That's what's happening when you say that. So anytime anybody ever tells you you're too much, to this, to that,
take it as a compliment, I say.
It's a call, right? It's calling other people. It's calling other people to those parts within themselves. And that's terrifying. And if we realize that sometimes being the lighthouse means sitting in the storm, right? Sometimes being the lighthouse means the gale force winds are coming, but you're still the light. It doesn't have to change just because the storm has arrived and somebody doesn't like it. Turn the light off. It's too bright.
Yes, too bright, right? Too bright. But no, actually, you're just showing someone how bright they can be. And if they're not ready to see that, then they will have very strong negative reactions to it.
I'm Portuguese and Danish, man. I'm loud. I can't tell you how many times I've heard over the course. My grandmother was so loud.
Oh, I'm Italian, also very loud. People have told me I'm too loud my whole life. Yeah. And I'm like, you know,
Portuguese and the Italian, that's like, that's real.
Yeah, it is. It's a real thing. Even if you go to a family function in my family, you might as well wear earplugs. I mean, we're all so loud.
And everyone's talking on top of each other. It's so great. Anyways, but that loudness, how many of us have had our voices silenced?
Yes.
Our truth silenced, our desires squelched and suppressed. So when somebody says, you're so loud, I feel in my heart feeling sad that they may not have their voice yet. Yet.
Which is a great point, because, when someone does react maybe negatively to us stepping into our, authenticity or, our roles in this life, instead of being offended or hurt or angry that they are feeling the way that they're feeling, we can have compassion. We can turn that around and have compassion for them, because they're hurting, right? If they're reacting in that way, they're suffering, and they might not even recognize their own suffering, but they are, and we can have compassion for them and where they are on their journey. And we can say a little prayer that we hope that they find their way to less suffering and more freedom. But we don't have to let it impact us.
We all know how it feels to be in that moment of imposter syndrome, or having to choose between our authentic self and the masks that we wear. And we forget that when somebody's saying you're to this, you're to that. But man, that person who's saying that has probably spent many, many times, many opportunities that have come for them to be authentic, turning their back and making the choice to go back to their limiting beliefs. And all of us, every one of us knows how that feels.
Yes.
Every
one of us have done that many times in our lives.
Our job as humans is to continually call each other beyond those imposter syndrome moments and to the deeper parts, to the fullest expression of who we are, and encourage it and be okay when people are not, that it's triggering and whatever. We've been triggered. We know how it feels.
Yes, we do. And it's, it's not like this is something that we conquer once, like, oh, I've conquered that imposter syndrome, moving on. No, over and over and over again, we will come back to it. And that's okay too, because
imposter syndrome is the continual growth. If you are not feeling imposter syndrome,
you're not growing.
there's probably not enough, or you're probably making the turn and going, no, it's too dangerous.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to let myself be here in this world in the ways that I want to be. Find a moment, friends. Like if you're listening, there's something I know. I'm going to cry for all of you right now, for all of us right now. There's something that's whispering in your mind. I don't know if it's making a change in your job. I don't know if it's asking your boss for a raise. I don't know if it's parenting in a way that feels better for you, or taking a yoga class, or trying something new. Something's whispering at you and drawing you to that fullest expression of who you are.
Yeah.
Go to the edge right there of, I don't belong here. I don't deserve this. And just take one more step beyond it and see what it feels like to be in that deeper, more beautiful, more lighthouse version of yourself. Do it. Do it. Little. Doesn't have to be anything freaking big. If it's just shutting your kids out of the bathroom and closing the door and taking a poop by yourself in the morning because you need that. Hey, guess what? That's also, good moms leave the door open. That's an imposter syndrome moment. Go beyond that. Whatever it is, you deserve to break through that moment.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Yes. Everyone deserves. I love it. Thank you for using that word. Everyone deserves to feel that good, right? Because you do, when you break through the moment, you do feel amazing. And everyone deserves to feel like that. Everyone deserves to feel that they are worthy of feeling that good. Everyone.
You're resilient. You'll survive it. Your kids will survive you closing the door and taking a poop by yourself.
Yes.
And you'll be like, oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I am there I am, my authentic self.
Yeah.
Again. Oh, man, Katie.
So good, Karen.
Oh, I just want to keep doing this.
I know. I think to make a ritual out of this, like every quarter or I don't know. We're going to figure it out. We'll figure it out offline.
Hey, but you guys, and drop Katie an email. Tell her what you want us to talk about. We could do like coffee talk with Karen and
love
coffee
that.
talk with Karen and Katie, and we'll do that double K's, special K, coffee talk. What do you want to hear? What do you want to know? What do you want us to explore? Give us some juicy stuff, because man, we love to dive in. It's so much fun. I appreciate so much your podcast. I appreciate your community, and oh my gosh, this world is better off because you're in it. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you. I feel exactly the same way. So blessed to have met you. And I really, truly look forward to, just continuing this relationship and,
Same.
getting to know each other even better and meeting IRL and all the things.
Yes, this is happening. Yes. You guys, if you want some kind of cool retreat, Mom on the Verge retreat.
Yes.
Maybe Karen and Katie.
Yes.
Send them an email.
K squared. You always come up with these fun things when we talk to, like, randomly. I feel like it came up the last time. Here we go with the forgetting again. But you always have these like drops of things, and I'm like, oh, it's genius. Why didn't I think of that?
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I know you have yoga tonight, so I don't want to keep you from that.
I got to go practice. I'm a learner, guys.
That's right. Oh, maybe I could take a virtual class of yours. That would be amazing. Oh, you should just prop me up in the back.
I actually need practice.
Oh, so maybe totally be
maybe we could do I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I just almost threw up in my mouth saying guys.
We're definitely doing it.
Imposter syndrome and breakthrough.
All right. Have a wonderful night. We'll talk soon.
I love you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye. So is Karen fantastic or what? I think she's amazing, and she is really what the definition of authenticity is. I think that's why I personally am so drawn to her. I think it's why her episode was so widely received. And I think you're going to love her talk if you decide to come to the summit. I'll put that first episode. It is the first episode, but I'll link it in the show notes. So it's easy for you to find the one on limiting beliefs if you want to go back and listen to that. But in the meantime, I think you could probably guess what my invitation to you for this week would be. And that is to do something that scares you. Do something that makes you want to throw up in a good way. Something that you really want to do, but you've just been too afraid to do it. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be riding a 1,500-pound animal or signing up for a yoga teacher training, like these larger things that we talked about. It can be small things. It can be doing your hair in a certain way that you've wanted to do it and you've been afraid that maybe you won't look good that way, or speaking up in a meeting when you've been afraid to speak up in a meeting before, or choosing to say something to a friend that really feels authentic to you, but you're not sure how your friend's going to take it. It can be small. And actually, I suggest that it is small because sometimes we need to work up to these bigger things, these larger, scarier things. We have to start with the small things and see that even though they're scary, they're authentic to us. And when we do them, the world doesn't fall apart. We don't fall apart. And it feels really good. It feels really good to be authentically who we are and step into that and step into our power. So that's my invitation to you for this week. Of course, I will be sending out my newsletter with, so much more information. So if you're not signed up, please go sign up at at momontheverge.org. That's my website. And you can sign up for the newsletter there. And also don't forget, you can download my 3 journal prompts for discovering your Dharma also on my website. So everything's over there. So head on over, check it all out, sign up for the summit at momontheverge.org/summit. And email me at katie@momontheverge.org if you're local and you want to attend that 5 Paths to Discovering Your Dharma workshop. I would love to see you at any and all of these events. I want to talk. I want to give you a hug. I want to get to know you. And I just want this community to grow. So I hope to see you there. And until next time, have a beautiful week, my friends.
Hi, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our other episodes, I ask that you please like the show, follow, subscribe, or share. The way that podcasts work is the more people that do one of those things, the more likely it is that when someone's looking for a podcast to listen to, our show will pop up for them. I started this podcast because I really see there's a great need in our world for people to feel more peace, joy, love, and acceptance in their lives. And I think we can do that when we have a greater sense of self-awareness. We could become conscious creators of our own lives. And I'm seeking to do that for as many people as possible. So if you could help me by liking, sharing, or subscribing to the show, I'd really appreciate it. And hopefully someone hears a conversation that changes their life. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Much love.